Hello. It is Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist and licensed professional counselor with lifeanew.com, www.lifeanu.com. And I'm here with a more somber topic again, suicide prevention. Why am I back on this topic? Because it's September. It is the last couple days of September. And for us, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So I don't want to let this month pass without saying something about it, speaking up, and fighting it full force with some psychoeducation as well as resources that you could use. So first of all, I want to say that you are not alone. If you are struggling with any level of suicidal thoughts, if you know someone who's struggling, you are not alone. Many people struggle. There are several different entities that can help, as well as the trusted tribe around you. Find people around you can trust to share that story. So let's dive right in. And the first slide is talking about the terminology that I will be using. Suicide is self-harm with the goal of ending life, and death actually results. A suicide attempt, however, is self-harm with the goal of ending life, but death does not result. And suicidal ideation is just the thinking of, planning, considering suicide. With that, I share my story. This is my little bit of self-disclosure. This is my beautiful Brooklyn. Beautiful Brooklyn is our granddaughter who actually passed away in 2018 from a congenital heart defect. And I share her picture because me being a therapist is probably the most horrible statement I can say, but I have always been more homicidal than suicidal. I would take you out before I take me out. So I never struggled from suicidal thoughts or anything like that. Not saying that I'm higher than anyone who does. It's just not something that I struggled with. But after the passing of Brooklyn, after the funeral, after all of the people were gone and the food wasn't coming anymore, I went back to work. And going back to work, I got into the routine of my day. And I guess I dissociated at some point and got prepared at the end of the day to go see Brooklyn. We would go see Brooklyn every day because she was in the hospital. So we had what we called a Brookie team that would go and take turns seeing Brooklyn. And my shift was right after I got off work. So I was packing my bag up, getting excited because she was a Spitfire. She was just a joy to be around. Packing my bag up, got to my car, and then I realized there is no Brooklyn. And so sitting in my car, first of all, I used to be a school teacher, and at my school, in the back parking lot, you parked over a cliff. And something said to me, if you drive forward, there would be no more pain. I realize now that was suicidal ideation. I was having a suicidal thought. I was having a suicidal moment. This person who says, I've never been suicidal, experienced it. And I say that to go back to the title of You Are Not Alone, and that anyone at any given moment could have a suicidal thought. So we want to make sure that is open and honest, and we are able to be vulnerable. Everyone has a story. In this space, I charge you to be a safe space for someone. I charge you to actively listen, to be vulnerable, to be open with someone, to create that trusted tribe. In counseling, we learn solar listening, right? Solar is squaring up to the person you're listening to, opening your posture, not folding your hands or making a face or anything like that. Opening your posture, leaning in, making eye contact, and relaxing and responding to them in kind, because they need someone, and you may be that individual, and you need someone to listen without any type of judgment. Then some statistics based upon the National Institute of Mental Health, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and the World Health Organization. These statistics were created or pulled out for separate amounts of time, mostly 2018 to 2023-ish. possibly 22 because 23 is not over. But in that time frame, it is the second leading cause of death nationally for 15 to 24-year-olds. It is the fourth leading cause of death worldwide for 15 to 29-year-olds. 75 to 79%, and this was shocking to me, 75 to 79% of suicide deaths are men. Women attempt more often, but men commit suicide more often. The LGBTQIA plus population is 9 times more likely to attempt suicide. We have to love these populations. It's the leading cause of death for the formerly incarcerated. Another population we have to learn to love. One positive is that there has been a 3% decrease in suicide among Caucasian American white Americans. However, there's been a disproportionate increase among Latino, Latinx, African American, and American Indian and Alaskan Natives. And these are scary numbers when we think about 7% increase for Hispanic, Latino, Latinx individuals. When we think about 19% for African Americans and 20% increase or 26% increase for American Indians and Alaskan Natives. Yeah, we have to do a better job. So these are just some pictures of individuals in the last couple years that have died by suicide. Some of them you may recognize, some of them you may not, but still, these are people who are no longer with us. And then the Black suicidality crisis. Dr. Maya Hoskin said that there are 5 reasons or specific reasons that she can pinpoint directly. There are a myriad of others, but these are the ones that she could pinpoint directly. One being social media and the dangerous side of social media. I remember a story about somebody telling someone you should go kill yourself, and that person did. And I believe they were charged, rightfully so. There is danger in some of the things that we share with people, and we don't think about people's mental health. The mental health stigma in the Black community, accessibility to mental health care. It is difficult to find care, especially among BIPOC populations and individuals that look like or have had some similar experience. Racism and discrimination is just deplorable, and it does a horrible amount of damage to mental health, and we have not given it its due when we think about mental health disorders and mental health issues. It just beats people up mentally because you can't do anything about your race. You can't do anything about your gender. You can't do anything about these things, and yet you're being discriminated against for that. And then exposure to violence. And these are some of the risk factors. Past attempts is a risk factor. Depression and other mental health issues. Substance abuse. A family history of those same things. Mental health issues and substance abuse. Exposure to familial violence, especially in the home. Another risk factor is a firearm in the home. Recent incarceration. We talked about that earlier. Suicidal exposure, seeing someone do it, hearing about someone doing, knowing someone who has committed suicide makes it a little less shocking, removes the shock factor. Sexual abuse, and as we said before, racism is an issue. So the at-risk populations, LGBTQIA plus is a red flag population. We need to love. We need to do a better job of securing, of being the trusted tribe. For the military, for people of color, and for people who live in rural areas. Some of the warning signs, means and dreams. I talk about means and dreams all the time. Means and dreams are knowing, thinking about it, having that suicidal ideation, and the means is having a plan. The plan is I have a case of pills in this closet, or I have a gun, and when everybody goes to bed, that is that plan, working out that plan, talking about it all the time. Somebody who goes from being happy-go-lucky to talking about death and dying and suicide all the time. Somebody who stockpiling pills, medication, stockpiling weapons, stockpiling whatever, are some of those warning signs. Then those more common ones, withdrawing from the things that you used to do. Parting with possessions, especially prized possessions like great grandma's ring. I have great grandma's ring and I want to give this to you because you are special to me, blah, blah, blah. There's a conversation that needs to occur there. Saying final goodbyes instead of, hey, I'll see you later, or okay, see you, bye, whatever. Making it more heartfelt and more final. Like, goodbye, it's been great knowing you. And, things like that. They're usually warning signs. Somebody is telling you, getting their affairs in order. A 20-something-year-old making their will. Like, I think that's wisdom if it's financially motivated, but at the same time, it's not normal. So getting all of their affairs in order. Somebody who goes into school and cleans out their locker, and there's school tomorrow. Somebody who, straightens off their desk. Someone who never cleans their desk goes in and straightens off everything off their desk and takes home a box. Like, those are warning signs that I am planning to leave here. Taking major risks, driving 100 miles an hour, doing things that they don't usually do. Mood swings, that up and down. Now, some of us have mood swings, but when you notice that they're extremely different, that often can trigger that, hey, this might be a warning sign. Major changes in sleeping and eating, raging or seeking revenge, extremely increase in alcohol and drug use. Any of those things are warning signs. And then some of the feelings that go along with it, emptiness or hopelessness, feeling trapped, feeling this physical, emotional pain that I cannot get to stop. I can't make this pain stop. When Brooklyn first passed away, there was this ache that just would not go away. It was a gnawing ache that you couldn't do anything about. Also, those people who feel like a burden. I'm always burdening. I'm always asking. I'm always, I feel like I don't want to ask anybody because I know I'm always burdening, and those things. Those are just some of the warning signs. Then some prevention techniques. Talking. There is a reason that talk therapy is so popular. Allowing someone to verbally process with an impartial third party is just wonderful because it allows you to talk through that pain, talk through the issue, and not have to worry about being judged. So talking about suicide does not cause suicide. I like to say that often. Talking about suicide does not cause suicide. It puts the individual on notice that you see them, that you hear them, that you may understand. So being the trusted tribe, that feeds right into that. Being the trusted tribe for that individual. Taking it seriously. Sometimes, especially for the clinically depressed or anyone along those lines, they may threaten suicide a lot. Every threat has to be taken seriously. I know it can get overbearing and annoying at times, but every threat, every mention, every warning sign has to be taken seriously because you never know when it is actually that time. Knowing who to call, who are the resources in your region, who are the, what's the hotline, what's the whoever, the therapist that's on call, the psychiatrist, the WPIC. We have WPIC in our area. So who do you know to call if you feel like I can't do anything about this? Resourcing. Resourcing is de-stressing, taking, I always use bubbles. And I know anybody who has talked to me in any way therapeutically knows bubbles is my go-to because I believe bubbles has a mindfulness piece to it. It has a deep breathing piece to it. Yes, I'm talking about the kid blowing bubbles thing, but that is resourcing. What tools do you use? PMR, progressive muscle relaxation. I have a video on progressive muscle relaxation. I actually have a video on therapeutic resourcing. I think there's three or four of them. I'm not sure. But resourcing is important. How to de-stress, how to stop with the black and white thinking and get into the gray. What do you do? Walking out in the grass. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can smell. Those activities are resourcing. Supporting and not judging or debating. This is not the time to have your physiological or philosophical debate. This is not that time. This is not the time to talk about what Jesus would think about that individual thinking suicidal, having suicidal thoughts, because now that is a judgment. We know what the Bible says. We know all of that stuff. This is not the time for it. This is a life or death situation. And you may think you have now, I've witnessed and I've done my due diligence as far as the word goes. But the reality is this person is hurting and they can't see the forest for the trees. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we have to find a kinder, more loving, more gentle way to approach an individual at this level. Also being patient, taking your time. Sometimes it may take hours. Sometimes it might take days to help someone not feel this way, which is why many facilities will keep people. They have a, 24, 48, 72-hour hold, because you don't know when they come out of it or if that individual can come out of it. Another big trusted tribe thing is calling help together. I am here for you. Let's call 988. Let's call WPIC. Let's call Resolve. Let's call your whoever is their support system together. Again, active listening comes up. Active listening is actually being engaged. That solar thing we just kind of ran over really quickly. And identifying your crisis team. What is the crisis team in the area? Developing that safety plan. Who do I call? Who is willing to answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning? And it might not be a relative. It might not be a friend. It might be the Resolve Crisis Network. It might be 988. It might be one of those things. But developing it in advance so that you're prepared when these thoughts sneak you, much like they snuck me with Brooklyn when I got in my car. I would never have anticipated that. Last but not least, if nothing helps, you have to tell. This is not a snitches get stitches type situation. This is life or death. So yes, you have to tell someone that can help. You have to call 911 or call some emergency number to get help, because if a person is that deep in it, they will attempt, and we want to save our life. I don't want to make you feel obligated, but at the same time, I want you to do what you can. So I don't want people to give up the idea, well, she was suicidal. Oh, well, she wanted to be gone. That is just such a callous way of approaching a suicidal individual, especially since any of us could be one. What's the saying? But for the grace of God, go I. So resourcing, I talked about that in the therapeutic way, but these are resources that go along with suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, and just any type of therapeutic help. So the first one is calling 988. 988 is the suicide hotline. It used to be a long number. I think Logic had a song. Can't even remember the long number, but this is the shortened version of that number. You can also text 741-741. And these are confidential spaces that you can talk to someone immediately, because talking again is one of the most efficient ways to help someone. Then there's this website, www.speakingofsuicide.com, because talking about it does not cause it. The Resolve Crisis Network, and I wish I would have put that on here. I'm sorry. I wish I knew it off by heart, but I will put it in the comments, because I'm sad that I didn't put that on this slide. The Christian Counselors Collaborative is actually where I am an independent contractor, and we have 39 to 40 other independent contracting therapists that work there and are available for whatever your therapeutic need may be. Christian Counselors Associates is another space. Grace Wellness is another space, and Upstreet Pittsburgh is a newer, I don't know if it's new, let me not lie, it's new to me. It is the Jewish Foundation, I believe, has developed this new plan because of the uptick in BIPOC population's suicide rate. So with that, I say these are some of the resources you can tap into. This is how to reach me directly if you are interested in any level of care or have any questions or comments or anything. I would love to know how you can utilize this. I apologize for the length because you know I usually do a 10-minute video only, but this is an important topic. It is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, and I want to make sure to put something in your hands that will help to prevent someone from committing suicide. Have a blessed and beautiful day.